Cool. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Hey there, guys. So I'm with UFC Welterweight Alex Morono. How's it, Alex? How's it going, mate?
Good, good. It's always fun to come home and go back to the gym and talk to the team and just it's always good to make the team proud.
That's good, mate. So, Alex, you beat Zak Ottow um, this past weekend in Kansas. You've had some tough fights in the UFC, mate. You fought the likes of Carl Noak, Niko Price, Josh Berkman. Sort of, how did Zak, who's sort of a gritty veteran, how did he? What did you anticipate from him? How did the fight in your mind go, game plan wise?
The game plan went perfect. So I think of all my opponents, he probably had the best wrestling pedigree. And I'd fought more grapplers and wrestlers outside of the UFC than inside. And so we really worked on like a lot of get-ups. I figured he'd shoot, but he actually was more content to stand and trade a little longer than I had anticipated. And that's what we like hoped for. We prepared for the worst, which was to get laid and preyed on. And then we hoped for the best, him standing with me. And that the game plan was just to, kind of stay in his face. And instead of like trying to counterfight, letting him choose when to shoot, like kind of make him shoot. And I hit him with that spinning back kick and then a front kick to his body, and that hurt him, and that made him shoot from far away. And I could have hit an underhook and sprawled out of there, but anytime guys shoot from kind of far, the guillotine's a big option, and it was tight. I thought he was going to tap in the guard, and to his credit, he gave up mount to escape the submissions. He kept himself alive. But that was the first time I've been in mount in a fight in a long time, and just the elbows came so naturally, which made him give up his back, and that was like the beginning, to the end for him.
Yeah, well, that's it, mate. Obviously, like you say, the guillotine was tight, the kicks were amazing. When you started throwing the elbows and it goes to a verbal submission, like, is that a weird thing? Like, you're just, you know the fight's over, right? You know it's coming to an end, and you're just waiting for the ref to pull you off, or you just, with the adrenaline, you're just going to go until you get ripped off, kind of thing.
So I knew I was in a position to finish. It was after the first time I flattened him out and then started really landing shots, and he couldn't escape. I told myself, I was like, I can finish the fight here, like empty the gas tank. And he actually went to turtle up, and it was my coach. It was Coach Safe at Fortis who told me to double underhook and flatten him out again. And when I did it the second time, I felt no resistance in his hips, and I landed two elbows when his head was flat on the ground. And then after the second elbow, he was like, all right. And then that's when the ref jumped in. So I think he knew he couldn't escape. And man, I've never elbowed someone like that before. And man, when you land an elbow on the feet, their head has somewhere to go. It'll go in the direction of the shot. But man, the octagon canvas was on the other side. So his head absorbed 100% of the force of those elbows. And man, I felt him. It was awesome. It was a new feeling. My elbow's pretty bruised up, and it was cool. They cut him open too, man. He was beat up after that fight, and it was only like 3.5 minutes long.
That's it, mate. That's it. So obviously, you're early on in the card. Where did you watch the rest of the fight? Did you quick shower up, go watch it in the crowd? Were you in the back? Like, for the rest of the fights, where were you?
Yeah, we went to, so if you guys don't know, the UFC's awesome, man. They take care of everything. There's like a green room where all the fighters kind of go, and they have a good spread of food and some good stuff, and you can bring your wives and stuff back. And so we watched most of the prelims there, and then since it was on ESPN Plus, we actually went back to the hotel room and put it on my coach's laptop and hooked it up to the TV, so we got to watch pretty prime fights. I was really rooting for Derek Lewis. He had a crazy fight. He made Houston proud, even though he didn't get the win. That Niko Price and Tim Means fight was freaking crazy.
That's what we're going to talk about,
yeah. That was a fun night of fights for sure.
Absolutely. Would you, obviously, the Niko Price fight, so it didn't go your way, it turned over to a no contest. Would you love to run it back with him?
Yeah. I've thought about that rematch for a long time. The first fight was actually really good. A lot of people didn't see it because it was on Fight Pass. But in the first round, I dropped him twice, and then just got caught by that wild punch at the end of the second. I like Niko a lot. We were hanging out quite a bit on Fight Week, and man, there's so many guys I would fight. I couldn't think of anyone I wouldn't fight in the UFC as a welterweight. So yeah, instead of being too choosy, I'm just gonna see who they offer and then go from there. But man, I could give you a list of 10 dudes I'd love to fight.
Yeah, but that's it, man. I remember I did a breakdown. It was Niko versus Abdul Razak, which was his first loss, and between them, it was something like 90% finish. It was just insane. Like, both of them go for it, and that's what I mean. When you fought Niko, he still went for it. You caught him, and then you were going back and forth. It was just a it'd be a very exciting fight again. And it
Yeah,
should be on
yeah,
a bigger screen this time. It should have definitely more eyes on it.
yeah. We both got a lot more UFC experience since last
There
time
you
we
go.
fought. Man, his fight against Razak. Razak also trains at Fortis, and man, that dude's what 10-1 with I think
Yeah,
10 first-round knockouts. Dude's crazy. Dude's
yeah.
absolutely crazy.
He is, mate. He really, really is. So, obviously you fought always in UFC and welterweight. You had a couple fights before the UFC at middleweight. Was that right?
Yes, only because they were short notice matchups. Like they were
Right.
like
Okay.
1 week, 2 weeks, and they had presented me the weight options. So I mean, I had no problem. Against the lower level opponents, that wasn't a big deal. But I wouldn't fight at 185 ever. I walk around 185 like right now.
Right.
So
So how easy or hard is the cut to 170? When do you usually start? When does the weight become a focus? Obviously, you don't want to do it too early because it starts diminishing. Like, when do you start? How far away from fight night do you start focusing on the weight cut?
yeah, so when you show up to fight week, there's very little, like hard training. So it's just like pretty like diet, you know, heavy, and I just do a lot of vegetable juices. Don't eat a lot of solid foods, but it's just the morning of weigh-ins. I'll go to the sauna and sweat out like the remaining 5 to 7 pounds. It really kind of depends on how long the training camp was. But I've done the same weight cut for 10 years now. I've never had an issue. Right in a good spot. And if 165 was a class, I could do that, and it would be a slightly more taxing cut. But I have no problem fighting at 170. I really enjoy the how I feel and how I compare against these other guys.
So if they were to do, if like Dana said at countless times, it's not going to happen. But if they would start changing the weight and go from 50, 45, 55, 65, 75, 85, would you look for the 65 or the 75? What do you think would be a better suit for you?
I could surely do 165.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So obviously, your fight wasn't too long. You're looking to get back in there soon. You're looking to have a little break. Like, where are you at right now?
Yeah, man, the UFC's awesome. They think of me. They offer me stuff all the time, and I've never turned it down. I've one small little like medical thing I need to get cleared, and then and it's minor. It's minor too. So even if it does need to get fixed up, it shouldn't take more than a couple weeks. But once that's all settled, then I will try to get back in there as soon as possible. I really was hoping for the Diego Sanchez matchup. Like in my mind, I want to call for these like legendary UFC fighters while I can. So I'm not going to push that fight super hard. That's just kind of like that's just like a best case scenario fight. I think it would be a lot of fun. I would surely brawl with him. There's nothing cooler than running to the center of the octagon and then brawling with the guy who's put on the most exciting fights of all time. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna rally for that fight a bit and see if that can happen. But if not, I'll take whoever they give me.
Well, that's great. With Diego, I think you always like that's what got me into MMA. See Ultimate Fighter season 1, and he's just never changed. So
No,
when
I
you
know it's
when you
awesome.
know you're going to fight somebody, and they're just going to stand you and they're going to bite down on their mouth guard and just start swinging, is that a kind of a daunting challenge? Because when you know what they're going to do, is it just like what goes through your mindset? You just like, well, I best do this, or I best just try and figure out how to avoid it.
I think people kind of know my intentions when I fight as well. I don't
Yeah,
really shoot in for many takedowns. Granted, I'm a little more calculated on when I want to exchange, but if I feel like I can get some movement down, I'll stand in the pocket and exchange, until the bitter end. So I think the fans know what they'd get. I think Diego knows what he gets for this fight. I'd plan for a hard 3-round battle because his wrestling's, his grittiness is so good.
yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. I think he's in such a position he can kind of call his own shots in the UFC. So if he so accepts the challenge, I would be most honored.
That'd be perfect. I would love to see that fight. Obviously, Mickey Gall didn't do great. He came out a couple of days ago, or maybe it was yesterday, saying he actually went into the fight with kidney damage. I don't know if you saw with kidney failure. Sorry, I don't know if you saw that post. I don't think he's making excuses. I think he wanted to go for it, and like you say, when you get a chance to fight a legend like that, like I remember, like you say, with Diego, he's a brawler, but then he can wrestle. I remember when he fought Marcin Held, like people were like, Marcin's coming in, he's a young kid, he's gonna sort of breeze through Diego, but Diego kept him down on the ground. He held him very well, which got himself the win.
Yeah, and I feel bad for Diego. He got a bunch of crap for his few losses. But if you look at against the guys he lost against, it was Joe Lozon, Matt
Yeah,
Brown, and Ally Aquina. Those are all freaking just excellent fighters. He just had a run of tough guys, and he's on a 2-fight win streak. I'm very happy to see him staying active. At one point when I was younger, I remember when he fought Clay Guida, he was my favorite fighter to watch in
yeah.
the UFC. And man, it's cool to see him, still going strong and getting wins and not taking damage. It's
Well,
awesome.
that's it, mate. Speaking of Clay Guida, what are your thoughts on Clay Guida versus BJ Penn?
You know what? I know when I'm older, I'm gonna struggle to let it go. There's just
Yeah.
it's something you can't explain. Like if you go in the cage and you feel just like the adrenaline makes you feel superhuman. Just like the crowd behind you. Having a chance of like glory right in front of you it's a fun feeling. And like the more you do it, the more you want to do it. And I like that fight. I think that's another fun fight. It's not like Clay's striking is crazy good. I don't think he'll sit there and like one punch knockout BJ. Hopefully, we'll see some more competitive grappling. Ryan Hall was a tricky matchup for him.
Yeah.
So I like that fight, man. I like seeing the OGs, stay at it. It's not like it's not like Chuck Liddell. Again, nothing but respect for the guy. He suffered some pretty bad knockouts. He probably shouldn't be fighting anymore. But BJ, other than being beat up a little bit, hasn't really like taken a lot of head trauma. So
Yeah,
I think as long as he's like in it, then why not?
Yeah, I think the only fights where I can really think of BJ in recent years sort of taking a little bit damage, but didn't get finished were Diaz, Rory McDonald. Those are the sort of fights with Ryan Hall, like you say. Ryan Hall just rolled into him like he did. I remember seeing Ryan Hall on Tough, and it was the fight to get into the house, and they went, "Yep, go," and he just hit that floor, rolled, got the hook. Someone like Ryan Hall is just a competitor, so no hard done. This is a good fight for BJ. If this is maybe he's just looking for a win to sail off. Who knows? But BJ Penn, forever a legend. Clay Guida as well. Don't sleep on the Carpenter. It's going to be a very good fight, mate. You got some welterweight fights this weekend coming up in London. You got obviously Till versus Masvidal and Leon versus Gunnar. What are your thoughts on those two cards? Those two fights, sorry.
Yeah, I've been a huge fan of Gunnar Nelson. It's cool seeing different traits mixed together. Like Johnny Walker's got a really weird style. You don't often see like good grapplers with unique striking. And Gunnar Nelson has like kind of like that karate style striking and some of the best grappling you'll ever see. His fight against Alex Oliveira was crazy to watch.
Yeah.
He really came alive in that second round. I think that's a tough match for anybody. And then Till and Masvidal. I've been a big Masvidal fan for a long time. I'm talking back when he was fighting alongside Kimbo Slice,
Against
on
Big Ray.
YouTube. So I've always watched him, throughout his whole career. And I knew when he fought Cerrone, that was a tough matchup for Cerrone. I actually met Masvidal when I fought in Sacramento, and he was just the coolest dude. And he's like one of the rare guys who is like just a straight up fighter, kind of like the Diaz brothers. Just like it's in his blood. He enjoys doing it. It's cool. So I'm really rooting for him in that fight. It's a tough fight though.
Yeah, very tough fight. I think it's going to be an interesting one. With Gunnar Nelson talking about the Oliveira fight. I think that loss against Santiago didn't maybe knock him back in the rankings. It was a little bit unfortunate with the eye poke. I don't think it was intentional, but it was just unfortunate. But this is a very, very interesting time now. Where do you think Tyron Woodley goes from here? I don't think they're talking about Colby getting the next fight. So what does Tyron do? Does he sit out? Does he fight somebody else? What would you like to see him do next?
It's always nice when I'm not wishing anyone to lose, but like when a dominant champion loses, they have to go back to fighting just like kind of the regular guys, and that's when you really see him shine. So I actually didn't really think who they'd match him up with. He's fought a lot of the guys already. He fought Wonder Boy already. He fought Till already. I'd be curious to see him, fight somebody else, even Colby. But there's no telling. If Colby beats Usman, maybe they'd give him another shot. But the welterweight division's a bit of an odd one.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine who they're going to give him to because he's not going to fight Askren. So
yeah, well, that's it.
That's a tough call.
Maybe if Masvidal gets past Till, it could be a fight for him, and then maybe they do Darren Askren. Maybe they could do Robbie Lawler rematch. Like they said, there's so much to do. But like you pointed out, it's when a dominant champ loses, it's nice to see them sort of go through it. Like with Jose Aldo, even when he lost to Conor, he then fought Max, lost to Max twice. He purposely said, I want a 3-round fight just to show, just so you haven't got to think, you haven't got to train for those 5 rounds. Like, when his manager said he's trained for 5-round fights for something like the last 7 years or something because they've always been title fights. It's very tough. So when he come up against someone like first Jeremy Stevens, then Moicano, it was nice. He just looked exciting. He just looked ready to go. And that's what would be good to see. It's good to see Woodley. Woodley's not got to worry about losing his title now. So maybe he can he can really push it. Maybe he'll go up to 185. Who knows? It's a fun time all around. It really is. But back to yourself, Alex. So what do you like to do when you're not in training camp right now? What does Alex Morono like to do on his time off apart from train?
And so I have two of my guys. One Jake Heffernan, he's 7-0 as a pro. Another one Cameron Graves, he's 7-2 as a pro. They're fighting on the Belton card for Legacy March 29th, and I'm pretty sure Dana White's looking for a fight show there. So they're both fighting some tough Brazilians. My boy Jake's fighting Eric Silva's younger brother, Gabriel Silva, who's 6-0. And then Cameron's fighting some guy who's 10-1. So I'm getting my guys prepared. I run a mixed martial arts gym, Gracie Baja, the Woodlands, on the north side of Houston. Business is booming right now, so I'm there just running the fort. And then I'm in constant contact with Safe and the guys at Fortis. So as soon as I can get a couple days off, I'm going to make sure to go up to Dallas and reciprocate and give my teammates some good training. And just always in the gym, if not on the mats, on the business front, and always watching fights. Man, I live this. This is the best lifestyle ever.
Yeah, that's it, mate. What time do you know what time the London card will be on for you guys?
Man, I'm not sure, but I hope not too early, because I was going to a friend's house to watch some boxing matches, and we were gonna watch both events side by side. I'll have to look into that now. I didn't think about the time difference.
Yeah, well, we're gonna watch Garcia, Errol Spence Jr.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that one? Who you got there?
I'm not a huge boxing fan, so I'm going to my friend's house, and he's the one who got me into MMA like 12 years ago back in high school. He showed me a clip of Crow Cop kicking guys in the head, and I was like, whoa, I want to start training. And so his dad was an old pro boxer, so they always get all the boxing matches, so I'm going to go hang out with those dudes. And so while they're watching the boxing fights, I was going to, on my phone, watch the ESPN Plus fights.
Yeah. It's going to be a good. They're both technical guys. On my money's probably on Errol Spence, a little bit bigger, but they're both technical guys. I'd give it a go. But well, maybe we'll see on Saturday. It's not always about the size. I think Masvidal, is a bit shorter than Till, but everyone is in the welterweight.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Till does with his weight cut. I mean, Masvidal's good. He's a gamer, dude. He can adapt. He can strike. He can grapple. I like watching that man fight a lot.
Yeah, I remember when he fought Wonderboy, like the punches he was throwing, they were just sort of wild. Like you didn't see him coming. They were landing, but obviously with someone like Wonderboy, who's just reaction and just point fighting, is just something insane. But Alex, I don't want to take up much more of your time, mate. I really do appreciate it. When did you say your teammates were fighting?
March 29th for Legacy in Belton, and that's like my two direct guys. And then we got a bunch of guys from Fortis fighting, I want to say, on the 22nd in Dallas. So, I mean, we got a bunch of guys fighting here pretty soon.
That's brilliant, mate. I'll try and get you guys on here as well and have a chat with them in beforehand. And you think Dana will be there as well?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So we're gonna make sure to throw down and get some wins.
That'd be brilliant, mate. I really do hope you're the best, and hopefully you can chat to you in a little bit soon and talk about your next fight.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'd love to. Just let me know.
Perfect. Cheers, Alex, mate. Have yourself a good day.
All right, you too. See ya.
Cheers, mate.